Yo, what up? What is the good word? This is HTHEMAN. You're now locked into Real Talk Sports. And finally back and back at it indeed. Jason Kelsey has retired from my Philadelphia Eagles beginning of the week. I believe it was on Monday. And honestly, I mean, what better way to go out than to go out with your team? 13 years in the game, unquestionably a Hall of Famer. Gonna definitely run the table in his new gig, whatever that may be. Just a natural charisma, leader, a grinder, a true grinder. Drafted in the 6th round. A lot of people sleep on Jason Kelsey. Well, Jason Kelsey's always been big time from the moment he came in the NFL, all the way until his departure, which was this recently. A 6-time first team All Pro, multiple time Pro Bowler, has done it all. When it comes to consistency, when it comes to just the Iron Man and what that represents, especially at a position that's not really that celebrated in O line. Jason Kelsey epitomizes what you want in a long-standing veteran and as a captain of your team. And he earned all those accolades and so much more. You see the lauding and the salutations and the congratulations for Jason Kelsey all over social media, and it's been a really big deal. And me myself, I just want to give him a shout out and let him know how much I appreciate his play all throughout the years. I'm sure Philadelphians will attest to the same thing. But it's been an honor to watch you play, and I hope we do the right thing by you and retire your number because you damn sure for sure deserve it. So again, Jason Kelsey, salute and all the best in your endeavors as well as retirement. And stick around, all right? Because I'm a fan of the New Heights podcast, even when you're not doing that, when you're on Amazon Prime and doing any other of your featurings. You've always been entertaining. So stick around. Let's see you on TV. Let's see you, on the mainstream, whatever it may be. Uh, many congratulations to you and all the best. Okay, so now the NFL free agency period doesn't really start until next week Monday. I think it's legally tampering period is next week Monday, but free agency period starts on March 13th. So that's the new league year and when teams can legally start signing players to a long-term deal that fit their team's portfolio and what they're trying to do, culture-wise, team-wise, championship pursuit-wise. Teams are really just trying to load up right now just to get the big names in and then further it along in the summertime where you don't hear as many splashes. But let's say a big name guy doesn't get signed early in free agency period or in the middle of free agency period, there might be an opening for him, before training camp starts or during training camp. Sometimes players go down with unfortunate injuries. So some of those names um, will probably get heard later on, but that's earlier on in the news for the free agency period. I don't want to talk too much about who's been tagged and things like that. I think there's some headline grabbers for sure today. But the Buffalo Bills going over and releasing almost half a dozen of their players instantaneously. You take a look at guys that have been with them for a long period of time during their success, especially in the last few years. Jordan Poyer, one of the names that we got to watch out for as he is going to make his way out of it, as well as longstanding center Mitch Morse. You take a look at Tre'Davious White when healthy, one of the top 5 corners, top 10 corners in the league now, but he hasn't been. He just hasn't been healthy. He's been going down a lot. Most recently this season. So you take a look at that and their need to wanting to get under the cap a little bit, try to work more, build more around Josh Allen, and reconstruct the defense the way that Sean McDermott likes it. So a lot of these names not really that surprising. Trey White, like I said, Jordan Poyer, Mitch Morse, Deontay Hardy, wide receiver, special teams guy mainly, and come in every now and then, and Naheem Hines. Honestly, I never really like Naheem Hines in Buffalo. I think like he was really really good in Indianapolis and in his role. So when he got traded to Buffalo, it's kind of like Buffalo is more of a hard nosed running ground and pound type team. Mind you, though, they need those unique pieces, and you see where the NFL is going now in terms of versatility with skill players and their the different abilities that they have to do things with the football. So I'm not at all surprised at that those guys are are getting out of there. But Naheem Hines, I really felt like his best fit was in Indy, but it is what it is when it comes to that. The Chargers have released Eric Kendricks. I was gonna say Michael. Michael was formerly with the Philadelphia Eagles, but Eric Kendricks has been released by the Los Angeles Chargers. Now that Jim Harbaugh's gotten the job, you can expect there to be a cleaning of the house, guaranteed. There's going to be some big names that they part with. One of those guys I would look for, especially coming off his injury, is Mike Williams. I believe Mike Williams might be one of those, post June 1st cuts, excuse me. And I also believe that Keenan Allen's name might be on that too. If Allen doesn't, restructure some numbers in his contract, that could be expected, especially when he's this high in age at his but one of his best seasons this past season, even when he missed a bit of time. So I think that he's definitely going to play, and he's going to have a market for him and what he does, especially when you throw it in the football. One of the more reliable receivers, one of the best route runners in the NFL. But I would say like he'd be a name I would look for. But looking at Eric Kendricks, the first really major big move that's happened in terms of reshaping the roster since Jim Harbaugh has taken over. Kendricks only signed a 2-year deal last year, so that's why I feel like this move right here is kind of striking. But it also says that maybe their new defensive coordinator has a different vision, right? And I can understand that when a new coach comes in, he's going to want to buy his own groceries, stock the fridge and stuff, right? So him coming in now and just getting early with it, getting an opportunity to reshape the roster in his image. Jim Harbaugh is going to bring that hard nosed football, that toughness. He did that with San Francisco before he went on to coach Michigan to this past national championship winning team. So coming in, like I said early, really taking a chance to look at the roster. Eric Kendricks, 32 years old, second on the team with 117 tackles, so he still got the juice to play. But that's how it goes sometimes. And look at Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, same thing, right? They're no longer going to be with the Seattle Seahawks, so that's something we're going to have to start taking. It's going to be a very busy next 2 months. Leading up to the draft, especially in free agency. There's already some crazy storylines out there in regards to Russell Wilson and his divorce from the Denver Broncos. We're going to be getting into that a little bit later on in another episode. But I really just want to touch on the news today and a couple of things that I really liked in the combine. But Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, no longer going to be in Seattle. They're moving on. Eric Kendricks is parted ways as well with the Chargers, Buffalo, with all the names I mentioned: Trey White, Jordan Poyer, Mitch Morse, Deontay Hardy, Naheem Hines, all guys that are going to be released, or if not, have been released already. So look for that to continue. In other news, bigger news, Mike Evans has signed back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 2 years, $52 million, over $35 million in guarantees. They're going to front load the bigger portion of that contract to him right away, just to kind of show the love to him, show the appreciation they have for him. You got to take a look at what he was able to do consistently since arriving on the NFL, and that's produce and get to that 1,000-yard receiving yard plateau every single year since he's played his 10th season. This past season, scored over 10 plus touchdowns at 30 years old, still doing it, right? And being consistent. When you look at guys, and especially in the generation that we're in right now with the salary cap and whatnot, it's hard to see long-standing players retire with their team. We just, said goodbye to Jason KELCE as a player after he spent 13 years with Philadelphia, never switched up, played every single game for them, never missed a game for the Eagles. And Mike Evans now getting a 2-year, $52 million, $35 million guaranteed contract from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So teams are still showing loyalty to outstanding players, grinders, guys who put in the work, guys who have showed and proved for years on top of years. And this is also good too for Baker Mayfield, which I believe the Buccaneers go ahead and bring him back. Why wouldn't they? He had a really good year last season under Dave Canales, who's since moved on to Carolina. He's going to stay in the division and go toe to toe with Tampa Bay. But I think that this allows them to say, look, we're not going to be able to pay a lot of our guys, but we still need stability in a division where anyone can win any season. The Bucks made it at 9-8, and they were competitive. They knocked out my Philadelphia Eagles in the first round, the absolute drubbing. I don't even want to revisit that. But the Buccaneers can still play football. They're still going to try to compete. They're still going to try to make a push as long as Todd Bowles is there and as long as the front office supports him. They're in salary cap hell right now, so I wouldn't see them doing too much readjusting. I feel like they're going to draft a lot of players that they're going to be willing to make play right away, just to kind of fill a lot of holes that they've got on their team. And we'll revisit team for team, division per division, a little later on, going into the summertime. But I think this is really good for Tampa Bay. I think this is really good for the organization. I think this is amazing for Mike Evans. He plays 2 more years or he plays 4 more years, really doesn't make a difference. I don't see him leaving Tampa. Some players you just don't want to see in other jerseys. He's definitely one of them. For sure, me, I feel like he's a Hall of Famer, but I'll let the voters decide that. Dalton Schultz re up with the Houston Texans. He's getting over $30 million in a 3-year deal. Dalton Schultz was a very nice player for CJ Stroud as a rookie. I think that when you get a rookie in the NFL, depending on what the offense is predicated on and what they like to do, it's always good to have a solid receiving tight end as a security blanket or a running back that can take out from the backfield and then go into the flats and make plays there on different kind of formation, different kinds of scheme designs. Dalton Schultz has always put on. Whenever he had an opportunity to do so, it took him a little bit to get started when he was in Dallas. There was a couple tight ends that were there in front of him, but he started to catch on. Don't forget, the Dallas Cowboys franchise tagged him the year before in 2022 because they really believed in him, tried to get a deal done. Unfortunately, fell out in 2023. This past year, he went ahead and he signed with the Texans, and it showed the benefits immediately. So I think this is a nice little piece for them to continue to build on with CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, Tank Dell. Whenever he gets healthy, I still feel like Tank Dell's going to be a problem when he gets healthy. He's just too good of a player. You still have a very young running back committee with Devin Singletary and Damian Pierce, a defense that is absolutely just solid at every position right now. And they're going to continue to get better, tweak the roster a little bit on the defensive side of football. So this is just the first of many moves I feel like the Texans are going to make. They're going to draft well again for sure. They're in a position to do just that, and they have a great number in the salary cap. So expect them to be extremely competitive. And that's all for news and what's good. We have an early draft report. Now, this is what I'm going to call this portion of the podcast, right? I'm going to call this right here early draft, sleepers, and hidden gems. All right. So, sleepers, hidden gems, and dogs, early draft report. Let's go into it. Let's talk about it. Starting with 3 guys who I feel have been really, really good throughout the years that they've played their college ball in their respective teams. But I think that there's a couple of dudes right off the bat that I was not familiar with at all until I saw some of the films, some of the tapes with some of the executives talking about them and the scouts and the different kind of coaches that you would find at a combine and front office personnel. And 2 of these guys, I could tell you outright, I didn't know anything about until I cut the film from all the discussions that were being had about these guys. So first and foremost, sleepers. Keon Coleman, receiver from FSU. I just saw the tape, and I feel like I gotta show you guys what I see because I'm not like no receiver guru. I don't know what the ins and the outs are. I'm just looking for, what the eyes tell me, right? What my eyes tell me when I watch this kid is that he is an absolute dog. There's no question about it. Just look at these highlights and y'all tell me what you feel. Because what I see here is a player that does well after the catch, big body, 6'4", 215 pounds. He could lean up even some going, in the 3rd or maybe 4th year of his career. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he stays at the weight that he is and he just continues to dominate. But he's going to be a matchup problem if he ends up in the right situation. There's no question about it. Look at him. Just out-muscles the football out of the air. Smaller defenders are going to pay, and they should. He's a physical specimen. Gets around his guy here again against LSU. What I like about this guy is his numbers are not eye-popping, but it's the all-purpose yardage. What he can do as an athlete. Whoop, you see it right there with the hurdle. This guy is sensational. In my opinion, definitely somebody we got to consider a sleeper. Not a lot of people talking about him. He didn't test super well, very inconsistent I watched Steve Smith's podcast this morning while I was at the gym. Steve Smith spoke about his inconsistency as well, but really believes in the talent, likes the kid a lot. I like what I've seen. I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of him. I didn't know about him recently. I knew more about the quarterback running right here, Jordan Travis, right here, that I knew about Keon Coleman. But everything that I've seen tells me that this kid is a baller. He's going to fight for the football. He's going to go up and get it like you've seen right there. 11 touchdowns in 12 games in the NCAA. That's in 1 year. And again, no eye-popping stats. We're talking 50 receptions for 658 yards, 960 of them all-purpose. But this kid is a returner. He can catch. He can run. He could do it all. And it's all on display for you to see. Go up on YouTube, cut the tape, and see what's going on. But like I said, I like the kid. I think he's a terrific sleeper and somebody for keep your eyes on. I like a team like the Chiefs, late 32nd pick, say, hey, let's go ahead and take a gamble on this kid. Or even somebody like the Carolina Panthers, now with Dave Canellis. This is going to allow for them to continue to build on the youth with Bryce Young and so on and so forth. But we'll get into the specifics of what teams need, again, as we move along. And we got to move along because I'm kind of pressed for time. Running back Blake Watson coming out of Memphis. Now, look, I know about the Memphis running backs. We got one right now in Kenny Gainwell. He's been with the team. He's going to go into this is his 4th season. I'm trying to see what we do with Kenny. I'm not out on him, but I just feel like we got to look elsewhere. Now, before I digress, I got to catch myself. Blake Watson is a transfer from Old Dominion. He transferred from ODU, hailing from NY. This kid is 5'9", 195 pounds. The way he runs, physical, right through the runners, not going to give anybody an opportunity to pull him down easy. If you want to do that, you're going to have to work. And he shows that determination on every snap. I caught one of his highlight reels, man. I was super impressed with the guy. Like I said, I didn't really know much about him until I seen him play. And what I seen is that this kid is tough. He's smooth when he catches the football, and when he runs away from defenders, it's like, yo, see the strength right there, just quick stiff arm, gets big guys off him. No one's bringing this guy down easy. And he runs terrific after the catch. This is a great skill set that translates to the NFL, right? And I think about guys like Isaiah Pacheco, who's drafted in the 7th round by the Chiefs, but he was a 2-time Super Bowl champion in his first 2 years in the league as a 7th round draft pick, with the benefit, of course, of playing with Patrick Mahomes. But you got to be a dog. That's just what it is. What it comes down to is you got to have the will to want to run through guys. When you play a running back position, it's a very underappreciated position nowadays in today's NFL. But it's just strong. And I like the physicality. I like the fact that he can run after contact. He's a decent-sized running back, not super small, not super big. The athleticism speaks volume. I think about a Devin Achane, or maybe I even say a young Anton Raymond, right? From Dalbayview. None other than Dalbayview. Anton Raymond getting dozens of offers from different universities. Can't wait to see what my guy does at the NCAA level. But man, look at this kid, Blake Watson. Again, I don't feel like, since he didn't get a combine invite, he might not be someone that gets drafted in the first few rounds. We're looking at a late round pick, 6th round, I would say, maybe 7th, if a team really believes in his skill set. But it's going to take a lot, man. It's going to take a lot for a team to just come out outright and draft this kid. It's not a running back rich draft like it is for the receivers or the offensive tackles or quarterbacks. But running back still has a lot of value, especially when you have versatility. If you can catch the football, there's always going to be a team that's willing to pay. And I think that Blake Watson fits the bills if given the opportunity. Maybe not as a draft pick for any team, but as an unsigned rookie free agent, I think that would be right up his alley. 192 carries for 1,100 yards and 14 touchdowns. He didn't play in the SEC, but those are still really big numbers. What you were able to see was on display, and I believe this guy is definitely a hidden gem, and for a guy for us to all look out for. Last but not least, the dog of these 3 players. And I want y'all to remember this name. This kid is going to be on an NFL team, and he will play on Sunday. He's going to be drafted. There's no question about it. I'm talking about none other than Rook Orororo from Clemson. Look at this guy. This was in last year. This was in 2022. Well, a lot of the things that he's able to do is what defensive tackles do right now in the NFL. They're game wreckers, disruptors, guys who are not going to take no for an answer. And Rook Orororo does not have all the football experience that some of these guys, high level draft picks, have. He only started playing football in high school. So that transition from playing basketball, keep in mind, he immigrated from Nigeria to the United States at 9 years old. So when he got there, there was not really a huge wave of football experience or the situation will put him in. Maybe he wasn't as interested, but I know that he came into the game late and he just shows that constant improvement and the way he plays with such a mean streak. Look how he just cuts through that offensive line like a hot knife through butter, pulls this guy down with ease. Not the heaviest dude, not the biggest dude in terms of playing inside in the NFL, of course, 6'4", 290. The guys they're going to be going up against are going to be at least 6'5", some 6'6", 6'8", even, right, on the tackle position. Guys who can really move, right? And they're going to be over 300 pounds. They're going to be well over 300 pounds, and he's at 290. But he has the size, he has the strength. I think, like, if he's paired with a very good defensive line coach, and he's not asked to do too much, I think he can make the type of impact that Jalen Carter made for the Philadelphia Eagles early in the season. I'm not talking about Jalen Carter overall as a player while he was at Georgia. I'm talking about Jalen Carter when he came into the NFL and he showed what he can do when he plays for a very good situation. Again, wasn't demanded or dependent on to do a lot early in his career. We still have Fletcher Cox, we still had Milton Williams, and we had Jordan Travis who was there as well. So he got in, and when he got in, he made plays happen. I think on the second half of the season, like the rest of the team, he regressed. Coaching had a lot to do with it. And for him, like I said, Rook Orororo, he's going to have to end up in a good situation with an amazing D line coach, someone who's going to push him and really take the time to continue to build on his skill set. And he has tremendous tools in his toolbox for a guy who doesn't have all the starters experience or all the playing experience that you would want out of some of the top tier picks. But for sure, second round, early second round, third round. If teams don't sleep, I don't see him getting drafted in the first, late in the first, early second. He should not go past the first 5 picks in the third round. And why I say that is because a lot of teams need a lot of things this year. And the offensive line, mark my words, the offensive line for teams is going to be a high point of emphasis. You think about the teams like the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers was on IR because the O-line was trash in New York and continues to be trash under Robert Saleh, who is a defensive first-minded coach. You think about Chicago. Look at what that did for Justin Fields. Justin Fields now is the talks of getting traded and going to other teams, something that we'll definitely be revisiting soon. But teams are going to target offensive linemen. They're going to go ahead and try to get their guy for the future or just to beef up the depth wherever they are. And that's what I feel. But Rook Orororo, Blake Watson, and Keon Coleman. Those are my 3 sleepers, hidden gems, and absolute dogs of the draft process early after the combine just passed. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you for allowing me to just continue to build on this earlier venture that I tried to do and then fell off for a little bit, but here I am back at it again and pushing through. I'm excited. I'm excited to deliver the content. I'm excited to continue to dive into the NFL draft process and where that's going. I'm going to start doing this by one episode at a time and continue to build. I'm looking to have guests on the show as well. So these are all things that I'm definitely going to be doing, but thank you. And I want to send a big shout out to my man, Joey Chops, who really kind of put the battery and reignited my love for this thing. And I'm on the podcast every single Sunday, Chop Vision Podcast. Make sure y'all tune in. The links are going to be on the YouTube. The links are going to be on the social medias. So keep it locked and in tune. It's your boy, HTHEMAN. I signed in, and now I'm signing out. Peace and love always. Peace.